So I thought I'd just let you know, like, what happened to me during my awakening, uh, which happened in 2020. And my fear of reading Revelations and seeing it unfold everywhere was the whole reason I went back to church. And then I was sitting at church and I was like, something isn't right here, because they were doing communion. And it was like, well, wait a minute. We're eating flesh and drinking blood to remember Jesus? What? So then I went to a different church because I thought that church obviously sounds insane. I mean, how crazy does that sound, right? And then I went to a different church, and then they were like, well, yeah, we're going to drink wine and eat bread. And so that made sense. But then I'm thinking to myself, and I'm sitting there, and I'm like, well, why do you have to be sacrificed at all? Like, what kind of a God am I worshiping or fearing? Like, the fear brought me back to church, not love, not unity, not understanding, none of it, right? So then, you feel like the very foundation on which you stand is just ripped from underneath you, and it's a horrifying feeling. I'm not going to lie. So then you're like, well, if I can't cling to my religion, and I can't cling to the things that I thought that were true, then what the hell am I doing? And so I started looking at communion, to understand why they would want us to eat flesh and drink blood. And then that didn't help, obviously. And then I left the church, and not that I went atheist or anything, but I was like kind of thinking, well, looking into the authorities, because the authorities are the ones that, are the same people that shut down the beach, and they shut down the stores, and they shut down the restaurants, and they, said if you don't get a certain thing, then, you can't go to work. And, just like it said in Revelations, if you don't take a certain thing, you won't be able to buy or purchase stuff, right? And then I looked into the authorities. And so, okay, so then that happened. Fine. And while all this is happening, I'm freaking out, and I'm worried, and I'm upset, and I'm full of anxiety and fear, and drinking more because I was drinking back then. And the whole time I wasn't allowed to just sit around and wallow, because there was my dog. Of all things, my dog. I'm sweating on my knees, praying to Jesus, saying all this stuff to myself and to Jesus, and doing all that stuff that people do, right? And there's my dog. It's walk time, and it was walk time like an hour ago. What the hell are you doing? Because then when I realize what's been happening, and how it's designed to keep me distracted with worry, fear, anxiety, because that's what they want. It's what they breathe. It's called loosh, right? And I'm thinking to myself, my dog lives in the kingdom of heaven. He lives in the kingdom of heaven. He can't tell me we're here. I got to figure that out for myself, right? So then you're just kind of like, okay, you know, uh, you look into things, and that's what I did, and that's when I started to calm down. But I can't say that I don't know what you're feeling, because I do. And I can't say that they're exactly how it made me feel, but I know that you feel alone, because people walked out of your life for not getting a product. And my family, uh, they don't really understand me. They never really did. I never really fit in. I never really had a lot of friends. like the ones I had would, go to hell and back for me. You know what I mean? And even them, some of them, they still are waiting for Jesus, even though I've told them he's not coming back. He's not coming back on a white horse. He's not coming through the clouds. Like, anyway, it's very frustrating, and I know how you feel. And you gotta listen to your pets, or you gotta listen to your intuition, and you really need to use your discernment. You know, and that's hard too, because the more you get looking into things, like when I first started looking into the rabbit hole of communion, well, I was convinced that the devil is God. God is convinced, or the devil is convinced everybody he's God. When actuality, the devil doesn't really exist, because you learn about things like duality. So it's like, if you're going into the woods and you're summoning the devil or whatever, you're really just summoning the dark side part of yourself, right? And then you go looking for God or Jesus at the church. Well, you've been looking in the wrong spot, because it's not a temple built with hands, and it's something you have to look within. So understanding it comes within is depressing, because you see what others don't. You see you see the division, you see the fighting, you see the calamity, and know that God created those things because it has to be for duality. Like, you can't have light without dark. Well, you can't have good without evil. And, it's going to rain some days, but, the rain does stop, and the clouds do break, and the sun does come out again. And if you're feeling like that, I just wanted to let you know that you're not alone, even though it feels like you are. So I understand. And I am you, and you are me. And I wish you all the best. I'm here